Hey guys, thank you so much for clicking on this video and welcome to my channel. In this video we are talking about the brand new TaylorMade P790 irons that are going to be coming out in 2021, it looks like. So let's dive in and let's start taking a look. So basically 4 years ago, in September, I should add, September 2017, the original TaylorMade P790s were launched, and then 2 years later, September 2019, the next generation P790s were launched, Gen 2. And well, it looks like that trend is going to continue. It looks like this coming September, Generation 3 TaylorMade P790s are going to be launching. They're going to be an updated, and I'm going to be sharing all the info we currently have on these irons for you guys, because there are some really interesting changes that are being made to these irons. And you might be wondering, well, why would you make changes to these? They're so successful, they look so good, you know, they fit a huge variety of golfers. Is changing them actually going to just make them worse, make them look worse? Well, I guess yes and no. It depends on your perspective. First of all, let's take a look at the looks of these irons. So this is actually a UDI that we've seen in the bags of Martin Kaymer and Dustin Johnson they've been testing. But the TaylorMade P790 UDIs do pretty much look the same as the TaylorMade P790 irons, so this is pretty much what we can expect it to look like. And this is a really, really good look actually. So first of all, let's just have a look at the looks, and then I'll tell you guys what will be different about these, or what, you know, what's rumored to be different about these in the upcoming generation. So first of all, yeah, 2-iron P790, we can see that tungsten written on it. No surprise there, it's still going to have tungsten in it for, you know, weighting and forgiveness, etc. It does say forged on the hosel. You can kind of see the start of it. So it's going to be forged again, which is great for sound, feel, forgiveness, all those sorts of things. The finish of this iron is a little bit different, a little bit less chrome. It has that long sliver of chrome kind of down the middle, and then more of that kind of matte finish on the bottom and top of the back of this iron. And we can also see a speed slot on there. Now this kind of isn't surprising. I just released a video on the new TaylorMade milled grind 3 wedges. So if you haven't seen that, I highly recommend checking out that video. They are also coming very, very soon. And they featured kind of a similar look to them, a very similar aesthetic, very similar finish, probably the same finish actually, in terms of the back of this iron, where it's that kind of duller, more matte finish, and then it had a few little chrome details on it. So also we've got the speed slot here. That's not surprising. We kind of have had the speed slot pretty much up to, it's like the 7 or 8 iron or something, that they kept the speed slot in, and then they kind of got rid of it for the shorter irons, just to have that slight better improvement in performance in terms of more consistent grouping for distance, for carry numbers. And yeah, so that's kind of mostly what we can see from this angle. But what's rumored to be new about this iron? By the way, this actual iron, you can see Martin Kaymer's name written on the bag in the background, so this is the one he's been testing. So what's rumored to be new about this iron? Well, quite a few things apparently. So apparently it's supposedly going to have a slightly longer blade length, but it's going to have a slightly slimmer top line. Now basically they're thinking with this iron to try and keep the performance, try and keep the forgiveness, but to actually try and make it look like more of a player's iron. Try and kind of make it more, a little bit more like the P770 irons. Now, does that mean we'll be getting P770 irons, new P770 irons, in the next release? Maybe not. Maybe with this P790, maybe they're trying to bridge the gap between, you know, some of the CB irons and something like the P790. So maybe they will get rid of the TaylorMade P770 just to have slightly fewer options in their lineup. It means they have to order less stock, and if they can fit just as many players into, you know, this iron, then that's great for them. So also the reason for this, making that slightly slimmer top line, and it probably won't be quite as hot off the face. Apparently, you know, if you ever hit the TaylorMade P790s, great irons, sounded great, and they went a long way, but sometimes they went a little bit too far. You would sometimes flush one and you could see like a 5 to 10 yard jump in distance, which isn't always what you want. Yes, if it's a driving iron, that's maybe not a bad thing, but with normal irons, you need to have those carry distances. You can't say I've got 165, I'm gonna hit 8 or a 9 iron, and then you flush it and it goes 175 and you're long of the green or you're in water or whatever it might be. It's not really what you want. You want those consistent carry distances. You want to know how far it's going. So yes, you want that performance, you want that distance, you want it to go a long way, and you want that forgiveness, but you want it to go a long way consistently. Let's take another look at another picture of this iron. This is actually Dustin Johnson on the driving range at Royal St George's, and I was actually there last week and it was awesome. I got to see him hitting this iron in person. Let's take a slightly closer up look of this iron, and again we can see it. I mean, this is an absolutely awesome image. It looks incredible, and again we can kind of see that it has that matte finish on the bottom and the top, and then it has that slim sliver of chrome. Again, we can kind of see it does look like maybe a slimmer top line. It could be, you know, that top portion, that top panel, to my eye, probably doesn't look very thick from this angle. Obviously, we can't see it from down the line from a player's view down at the ball, but from this angle, it definitely looks a bit slimmer. If we flip this image, we can see, you know, it slightly looks a little bit weird because we are upside down now, but we can see again, nothing kind of new to note. You know, it just looks awesome. Those lines on it aesthetically looks very, very, very pleasing. I love to see that. I'm going to put it back to the other image though of Martin Keimer's, because that really gives us like the best look of this iron. So obviously we can see it's going to be, in terms of technology, it's going to be featuring tungsten weighting. It's going to be having that speed slot. You can also see the little hole cut out on the toe where they would have put speed foam in. So it's going to have speed foam inside the iron to help with forgiveness, sound, distance, you know, all those sorts of things. So yeah, that looks like the new TaylorMade P790 iron. What do you prefer? Do you prefer that or the old one? What do you think of the changes they're planning to make? Also, to my eye from this angle, it looks like a slightly squarer head profile down at the ball. And also, if you saw my TaylorMade milled going through wedges video, that's something I kind of thought, you know, I noticed a little bit about the wedges, a slightly squarer profile. And this kind of looks similar, pretty square top line, pretty square bottom line, and that bottom portion sits quite flat, quite square on the bottom. And also on that bottom portion, it looks to me a little bit thinner than previous generations of this TaylorMade P790 UDI 2 iron. So it will be really interesting to see if TaylorMade can make this golf club more forgiving, or keep, even just to keep the forgiveness, whilst making it maybe a little bit thinner, a little bit more of a player's club, and, you know, trying to maybe bridge that gap between that occasional flyer that you got. That will be really interesting. If they can do those things, this iron, you know, could be potentially even more popular than previous generations. I actually went for a fitting a few years ago now, about probably 2 years ago, almost exactly 2 years ago, where I tested the TaylorMade P790s, the second generation. I also tested the TaylorMade P760s and the TaylorMade P730s, which were the current blade at that time. And I ended up going for the P760s over the P790s because they went so far. And the problem was, They go far because they have a lower spin rate. They have lower lofts. You have to know this. They have lower lofts. You know, probably 1 or 2 clubs lower than standard. Probably a club lower than standard, really. And they have very hot faces. They have very low CG in the club head, and therefore a very high launch, low spin, and that's how they get that distance. And that's great. That's for so many people, that's great. But the thing I struggled with, I like to, with my irons, hit quite a lot of low flighted punch 3/4 type shots, especially kind of into the wind and those types of things, or maybe it's to a back flag or whatever it might be. And the problem was, I could hit those shots with this iron, but because it had a much lower spin rate, it would come out great, the flight would be pretty good, but it would have so little spin on it that you couldn't really get it to stop. So that's really what stopped me from putting these in the bag. That plus I do like a slightly slimmer top line, slightly slimmer iron head profile. I went for the TaylorMade P760s, which stayed in my bag for a few months, but then I went back to some blades which I use, which if you've seen any of my What's in the Bag videos, you'll see exactly what iron setup I use. But that could be changing very soon, actually. Going to be doing some new fitting videos very, very soon, so make sure you are subscribed to the channel for that. But I ended up going back to the blades just because I do like a blade. Blades suit my eye. They might not have the forgiveness. Occasionally you're going to hit one that, isn't going to perform as well, but I just enjoy using them. And for me, I'm, not trying to make it out on tour or anything, enjoying using the golf clubs I use and getting excited to hit them every day is really the main thing. And also the blades I use are very, very special and just really, really incredible irons. So guys, this is the new TaylorMade P790s. Check them out, and let me know what you think. Comment down below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Give this video a like, subscribe. I reply to all your comments down below. I'd love to hear from you guys. I will see you guys in the next one. As soon as there is more information out, I will be bringing out more updates for you guys, more images, and yeah, I'll see you in the next one, guys. As always, grip it and rip it.